Hi, friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Mental Fitness Unscripted podcast, where our conversation will encourage your healthy living journey. Inspired by our Team Quadzilla coaching motto, healthy living starts between your ears, we talk about mental fitness in ways that challenge us to think about our thinking regarding topics like habits, leadership, exercise, values, marriage, parenting, and faith. Our hope with this podcast is to sharpen you as we sharpen ourselves to be all we were made to be. So let's dive right into the conversation on this episode of Mental Fitness Unscripted.
We have to start that way, don't we?
We're on candid camera.
We have to start that way. For those of you just joining us, I told Chad, now smile, I'm going to start the recording.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's part of the clickbait, right? If you have an image of people laughing, people might be drawn to that. At the same time, if somebody's got a really angry face, they might be drawn to that. So that's what gets people's attention, apparently.
And if you want to know behind the scenes, we actually were smiling before we started this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have to.
For those inquiring minds, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, well, Chad, you got a big day today, it sounds like.
Yeah. So without getting into too many details, the idea that I'm faced with today is
let's protect the innocent here.
Yeah. Let's just pretend that there's a circumstance where in a professional communication, somebody receives a message that is very different than the one that I intended to send, in such a way that the receiver has become extraordinarily offended or upset by what was said. And so I think what I would like us to talk about is, firstly, what do you do next, or how do you reconcile that or resolve that? And then the follow-up would be, what can we do to minimize that in the future to ensure that what we're sending is received how we intend it? So kind of a class in communications, and maybe I'm not the right person to be offering any advice about that, because this just happened to me, and the person is super offended, and now I've got to go back and figure out how to reconcile that. And to be honest, this is hard because I'm not sure that I really said anything that should be taken offensively. So in a sense, there's the part where maybe the recipient has their own stuff going on, and I can't control or help that, no matter how I say things. Nevertheless, this happens, and relationships matter, and we need to communicate well. So I don't know, that's kind of the scene, and maybe someone else could relate to that. What do we do?
I'm sure we all can.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all can. Okay, I've a few thoughts, man, Jerem.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you're familiar with the golden rule. So what's the golden rule?
Yeah.
What's the golden
Treat
rule?
others how you want to be treated. Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting. And I'm going to tell you a story. This story came to mind, and gosh, I don't know how long ago. We had young children, lots of young children. And of course, that creates laundry around a house, right? Lots of laundry. Okay, lots of laundry. We had 5 little kids, and tons of laundry. And what I discovered is when I sorted it out, that there were 6 loads of laundry. And I would watch my wife every Saturday just spend all day doing laundry. all day. I
Mm.
mean, and she would do other things, but it would, it was just this huge laundry day. And so I had
Yeah.
this brilliant idea. There's six, take Sunday off, and there's 6 days left in the week, right?
Mm.
So why not throw a load of laundry in the washer each day and just spread
Oh,
it
yeah.
out and just kind of, okay. And so I did that. And after the first day, I was in so much trouble. I
Oh
mean,
boy.
I mean, you would have thought I had kicked her cat, her personal cat.
Mm.
Uh, I was in so much trouble, and I was taken aback. My whole intention was
Yeah.
to free up her Saturday, give her time, just level this thing out. And what I did not discover is that's how I wanted to be treated. That's not how
Mm.
she wanted to be treated. And so you've probably heard of the platinum rule instead of the golden rule.
Oh, yes.
Treat others as they would want to be treated is the platinum rule. Okay. Well, that's tough. That's tough to know, especially in a business
Hmm.
setting. We all hide behind this facade of being professional and everything, when in fact we're all nervous and just at
Yeah.
our wits end. Am I gonna screw up here? Am I gonna change my status? Are people gonna trust me? And so we spend all this time going through all that gyration of trying to protect ourselves. And so, totally unintended, I have offended my wife, which was totally a surprise to me because it was totally counter to my
Yeah.
intention.
Right.
I, I wanted her to come to me and say, "Oh, sweetheart, this was exactly what I wanted. My Saturdays, and you're so nice to think of this, and yeah, let's move forward with this." Ever since, there is one wash day at our house. Okay, and
Mm.
but that's what I learned, is that she wanted that more than the time off, or whatever my perception of what she was wanting. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, stepping back, what did I have control of? I only have control of me. I can't decide anybody else's feelings, or if they're offended by what I do, or I can't decide that. And so I have to deal with that. And sometimes people will be offended at what we do. And the only thing that we can do is control us with that situation. Okay. Even though we didn't intend to offend, we have to deal with it. We're responsible to deal with it. Um, and so I can share with you what I've found. It's up to you. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Do you want to go through this more, or do you want me to just
Well,
tell you what I
yeah,
found?
I mean, I think I have some ideas too, so I think we can
Okay,
we
share
can
those.
maybe counsel each other about what's how do we do this, and
Yeah.
maybe somebody else could think you guys are crazy, or
Well, I've been
maybe
called that before.
maybe it's helpful. But what comes to mind first for me is this happens a lot in my line of business, but I just call it the fall on your sword, where
Which is funny because
I may not.
I'm playing with the sword right now while we
There
talk.
you go. How timely.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And,
So
and there's one behind me right there. My
yeah,
little guy with the
perfect.
sword.
Maybe I was inspired by that. Didn't even realize
Sorry,
it.
sorry. I
Um,
am playing with the sword.
but of course, that simply means that even if I didn't do anything wrong, sometimes I don't want to say always, but sometimes the next right thing to do is to just fall on your sword. In other words, um, kind of accept accept their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, and then humbly apologize and, you know, offer that sacrifice. That's what falling on your sword is. You're basically, you're taking it on yourself. You're killing yourself, death to my pride, death to my, you know, esteem and ego, for the benefit of the other.
Yep.
Even if, and
Yep.
that's where that's where it rubs pretty hard, is, you know, I don't feel like I did anything wrong, but in order to preserve the relationship, I'm going to fall on my sword and humbly apologize, admit that this is not what I intended. This is not the kind of person I want to be, you know, those kind of things. And then just, you're going to have to leave it from there. So that's a great challenge to fall on your sword. And I'm wrestling with that quite a bit, even right now. How exactly to do that, and not to just fake it. That's the other thing is, you know, people can fall on their sword, but have it run through between their arm and their ribs, and it doesn't actually do anything.
It looks really good.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I'm not that great of an actor, so somebody would see right through that, and I don't want it to be like that either.
Yeah, people will see through that. And the thing, here's the other thing I find, is that you don't have to admit that you were wrong. You can admit that you were wrong in offending them. Okay. Does that make sense? And just put a fine point on it. Look, my intention was not to offend you. I am so sorry about that. That, you know, I was wrong in offending you. But with that, that's not an admission that what you did was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, because that's not being honest either, right?
Right.
So
well, you've got to have the integrity with yourself. You know, if you did the right thing and you're convinced of that, you know, unless somebody shows you that you were wrong, which you know, that's a whole different subject we can spend an hour on, but you don't have to admit that you were wrong or that you were bad, or you know, you just have to give that, you know, well, ask for forgiveness for offending. Okay, that's really all that needs to happen. Is, look, my intention was not at all to offend you.
Right.
I'm so sorry that message came across that way. But then you have to follow that up and say, okay, in the future, you know, we're going to run across things like this in a professional setting. Problems happen, and you and I are going to have to revisit things sometime in the future. How do I approach that? You know, help me understand how to do that. And you know, going back to my wife's thing, it was like, okay, sweetheart, I was not at all, you know, trying to take away your responsibility, or to say that you were not doing what you know, I didn't think at all that you were shirking your responsibility or doing the job wrong, or that was not my intention at all. Okay, I'm sorry. How do I fix this? And basically it was, I need to do it my way, and which is fine. You know, now I can support that and I understand that. But, you know, in the future, when, gosh, I wish we had Saturday, you know, I'm just going to look at it and say, but you know what? We have Saturday together. We get to do the laundry together. Okay. I have control of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. I like the part where you're asking the question as the follow-up, you know, how can I better serve you, or how can I help you, or how can I ensure that this doesn't happen again? You know, it puts it back on them to decide. And if they have nothing to offer for that, I think whether they realize it in the moment or not, it might be more a reflection upon themselves and how they've taken the situation, if there's really nothing to change, right? So asking that question can be pretty revealing, and also just kind of leveling things out again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, you hit on something that I did want to cover. Usually when someone is offended, it's a reflection of what they're feeling already.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yes.
all we did was touch that nerve, and we are now the enemy. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when somebody's offended, they've already felt this, whether it was with you or something else, whether it was a circumstance or what, really doesn't matter. It's a reflection of how they're feeling right now. They're already offended at something, or they're already dealing with some kind of pain that, all this does is it just manifests that, oh, yeah, see, there's that pain. And all of a sudden it puts you as the cause.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, this is so good. I want to pause right there for just a second, because it makes me think of, firstly, makes me think of myself. So when I'm offended,
yep, this reflects really badly on us, doesn't it?
Yes. When I'm the one that's offended, can I please just recognize that there's some other thing going on, and maybe I don't even know what it is, but I need to figure that out, right?
Yep.
Because I can't go around being offended all the time. Nobody's going to want to be with me, and I'm going to be perpetually miserable. So I need to figure out why I'm always feeling so offended and deal with that. Secondly, flipping things around the other way, is if this is true and the other person's offense is something else besides what I may have said, then my first inclination is, okay, this is humanity. We are all very broken. We all have pain. We all have things that nobody knows about that we're carrying around. Can I just be gracious and kind right now? And that kind of supports the falling on your sword part, is you're like, you know what? This is really not a big deal. Can I just be gracious and kind, apologize, help this person to feel better, no matter what it is that their pain or their issue is. Maybe it's really dumb and silly and ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. It's just, can we just be kind? So thank you for saying that. I just wanted to hit that right quick while I was thinking.
Well, the other thing is that if we're offended, what it does is it puts us into a victim thing, okay, where we cannot act.
Yeah.
Something acted on us and influenced us to be offended, and I'm the victim, and now all of a sudden okay, and people, we all, I'm going to say we all fall into that category sometime. Oh, I wish things were different. I wish the economy was better so that I could make money. Well, the economy has nothing to do with that. It's whether or not I'm using my brain and I'm using my resources and I'm working hard, and an element of luck. But it's my responsibility to take care of my emotions. To your point, I can give grace, I can give mercy, I can do that. And what happens is if this person stays offended, they stay the victim. But you've absolved yourself because you've apologized, you've asked for forgiveness, and you've asked, how can I do this better next time? And if they remain offended, that's on them. That's totally on them. That unfortunately we get to choose. And fortunately we get to choose. Okay.
Yeah. So, no, that's so good. This whole thing, it always comes back around to the same very basic, simple principles of, our mental fitness, and that is our responsibility. We are responsible for ourselves, and all kinds of things can happen around us, but ultimately we get to choose. We have to choose. We are choosing. Even when we think we're not choosing, we're still choosing.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
We call it falling on the sword, and it's kind of an ugly picture if you think about it.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it either.
It's kind of an ugly picture, but you know what? What we're doing is we're just sacrificing our ego and saying, you know what? I'm confident enough that I don't have to polish my ego at your expense.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes. Very true. Yeah. That's it. I mean, you nailed it right there. I mean, there is no dispute or disagreement or um, that is worth what we try to make it to be. We can work through these things, and it's definitely a challenge. I mean, nobody wants to squish their ego or their pride, but I think practicing that is an element of mental fitness that we need to pay attention to.
Well, who's the stronger person? The one that squashes its. Sorry, we're running out of time. I just got the warning.
Okay.
Who's stronger? The one that squashes their ego for the benefit and sacrifices their ego for the benefit of another, or polishes their ego at the expense of another? I mean, who's stronger?
Exactly.
Which one takes more courage?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because our ego is enormous, and it's very fragile, and it's incessantly demanding our attention
all the time.
Yeah. And so if we can get control of that and be in charge of it instead of it being in charge of us, we are strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good.
Did we help?
We did. I feel much better about my chances of having a fruitful conversation later today and in moving forward when this happens again.
Well, even if it goes backwards on you and they're offended, you stepped up. I mean,
yeah,
you stepped up, and at the end of the day, you took control of what you had control of, and that's, I mean, isn't that ultimately all we have?
Yeah. Yeah, so good.
Cool. Okay. Well.
All right.
Go rock this day, will you?
Yeah, man. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do.